Okay, thank you all for inviting us to come and share, what we do every day and how we serve Sullivan County and those around us. Where is the Walker's got it? Oh, you can do it. That's fine. Appreciate the opportunity to come. I do want to kind of emphasize one thing. Walter is TSU funded, Tennessee State University, and I am University of Tennessee Extension funded, and we're grateful for TSU to provide funding for him. It helps expand the resources, for the county. This is a picture of the Ag Center out the front. I was part of the process of getting all that going. Walter was too, and I remember telling one of them, I said, we need a Cracker Barrel front porch, and we got it. It's a really great entry to our place, and an awesome place to sit and watch the mountains and across over the airport. Okay, go ahead. Here's our staff. We have actually 6 people in our office. One of those positions, a 4-H youth position, is currently vacant. We're interviewing for it, hopefully fill it in the next couple of months. But we do have in the office Lydia Hoskins, who is not able to be here with us, but she does our Family and Consumer Sciences program, which is food safety and food preservation and parenting and all kinds of stuff, information that would have been kind of like the home demonstration agent, that some of you may have remembered, say some 20 or 30 years ago. We now call FCS. We have Linda Jones, who is a federally funded program assistant, works with TNCEP, SNAP, food stamp recipients, teaches them how to, actually prepare food with supplies and, the food that they receive. Walter is here with us, does 4-H youth program. And Andrea Belcher is our administrative associate. If you call the office or come in, you'll likely talk and meet with her, and she's really friendly and a great face for our office. Extension program, it's a 3-way funding. We probably have about 12% funding from USDA, and state funding is about 45% for Sullivan County, and Sullivan County funds 55%. And I always tell the county commission and those, it's an awesome deal. We have probably 50 or 60 or more state specialists across the state that we pull information from, both 4-H and adult ag and FCS kind of information. And they only pay 55% for 6 people in our office, to help bring that information to our local community. I always say it's an awesome deal for the county. Okay, next slide. Just a little history. 1862 was the Morrill Act that kind of formed land-grant universities across the United States. Essentially, they were given land to develop a university. And several years went by, and they decided that they needed an agricultural experiment station. Okay, next slide. So along come the Hatch Act. And the Hatch Act provided federal funds to the land-grant colleges to develop experiment stations across the state, and there's several of them. I mean, it's probably like 10 or 11 different campuses. The closest one to us is in Greenville, called East Tennessee Research and Education Center. They do a lot of beef cattle and have done in the past a lot of tobacco research. Now they've kind of transitioned to even more vegetables and other things as well. Anyway, then when that information is developed across the state, and we always say we like to replicate that information 3 times. So if we have Mr. Royston talking about his horses, if we have an awesome kind of forage like Persist orchard grass, before we recommend it, we want to see it produce and repeat that production levels 3 times. Then we say, okay, it's a good recommendation. And that's where we kind of come in as being an impartial source of information rather than a seed company or other kind of ag supplier. Now, also then in 1890, along come the second Morrill Act that formed Tennessee State University, which was originally for the black population. And then if you go out in the West, there's even a similar land grant for like the Native American Indians. But in Tennessee, we have TSU, which today serves everybody equally, just as the University of Tennessee does as well. But in history, that's the founding of why they were formed. Then along in 1914, here we had the land grant universities, we had the ag experiment stations from the Hatch Act, developed all this information, and they decided they needed a way to get it out to the public. So USDA passed, or that was the 1914 Smith-Lever Act, which established extension programs across the United States, in each state. So not too long ago, Walter and I were around and participated in the 100-year celebration, which was a big thing. Soon be 10 years ago. Next slide. So it started off very simple. It was kids kind of were the focus. They were teaching youth, girls to can tomatoes, boys to grow corn. But they wanted to get that information out to increase production. If we go back to like 1930, 1925, 40, 50 bushel of corn was a lot of corn, per acre. Today, even in Sullivan County, we probably have 200 bushel to the acre. Or if you go up in the Midwest, they probably have 300 bushel. But that's all been developed through improved varieties and better production methods. But it started out with the kids growing corn and the girl canning tomatoes. They figured if they could get the youth to outperform their parents, it was a good adoption method, and it worked. So next slide, and we still do a lot of traditional kinds of things, such as livestock, but we also have now expanded that out even to technology and landscaping, all kinds of different things. Walter does a STEM project where they talk about science and technology, engineering and math, and my son was involved in a computer science project in 4-H, so it has really came a long ways from its 1914 origin. Next slide. And that is, we'll just, yep, I'll just pass it over.
All right, well, we appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I've just got a few slides on the program. I'll try to give an overview of our 4-H program here in the county and let Chris share about the others, and then we can come back to them at the end if we need to. But 4-H is the youth development program for our nation's cooperative extension. In Tennessee, our focus is on kids in grades 4 through 12. Some states nearby, like Virginia, have a clover bud program for the younger kids, but in Tennessee, they've decided to focus our efforts for those kids from 4th grade on up. And the goal of all our 4-H projects is really just to help kids learn life skills, to learn by doing, that's the 4-H slogan, help them to have projects, hands-on interaction, learn information, meet others, be able to communicate, all those different things. And so those core goals help them become better leaders, more productive and capable citizens of our community, become more self-confident, gain that self-esteem, and also enjoy learning more about a topic that they find interesting or like to spend their time in. Our current program now, we have over 1,500 youth enrolled this school year. Those are primarily through 61 4-H clubs. That'd be like 61 classrooms at schools. Those are primarily through the county system, 10 elementaries and the 3 middle schools with the consolidation this year, as well as Kingsport, Bristol kids, homeschool community, and those that come and participate just in community project groups. A couple of our more active there right now would be our livestock and horse groups for the animal science projects. We've traditionally just been more in the county system. I know we're here in Kingsport today, and of course, like we mentioned earlier, I'm here in Kingsport. My girls attend Kingsport School. 4-H is open to all those kids, Bristol, Kingsport, the county, any 4th through 12th graders. Just kind of with the one-person staff right now and the size of a county that we have, it's just hard to be there to meet all the needs of that population. And so, like Chris mentioned, hopefully we'll get our other 4-H position filled, and that'll be a step getting back in the right direction. We have met some regular meetings at some of the city schools in the past, and I've actually talked with one of the elementary schools. Next school year for 22-23, we're going to meet and do a regular meeting course, which before pandemic issues was 6 times a year. We typically see them 3 in the fall semester and 3 in the spring semester during school for elementary. This year with the middle schools, it's been all after school, whereas prior to it was a mix. Some we got to see during the day and some after school. But till they get all that sorted out, right now we're doing that after school. So a little snapshot there. We see the little learning model on the photo. The outside is the ways to engage the kids. It goes more to the middle, some of those life skills that we hope for them to learn, and then kind of more of the outcomes, the things that they learn, go on to use in a career, to improve for their family, or skills that they have that they can use. So I know it's hard to see those words, but kind of just a little snapshot there. Oh, I was going to sneak before I showed you that. I bet lots of you all remember 4-H. Some of you might have even been a 4-H member in your youth. Who could tell us what's one of the 4-H's? We get our name from 4 words that start with H.
Heart.
Heart, very good. That's one to get us started.
She must have cheated.
No, I was a 4-H kid in 7th grade in Bakeland, South Carolina.
I heard home. That's a good thought, but it's incorrect. Health, yes. Obviously an important topic here recently in society, health. Head, yep.
Hands.
And the hands. Excellent. We've got them. Our head, heart, hands, and health are the 4-H's. And for those that maybe aren't as familiar, here's the 4-H pledge. I pledge my head to clearer thinking. Obviously want them to learn. Our heart to greater loyalty, care for others, fellow citizens. Our hands to larger service. So much like I'm understanding more about your club, serving those around us in the community. And our health to better living. If we don't take care of ourselves, it's hard to learn new things, hard to help others, right? So all those fit together for their club, community, country, and world. And like Chris mentioned earlier, UT-TSU extension is just one part of that national land grant cooperative extension across the country. So there truly is 4-H in all 50 states in the United States and actually in several other countries around the world. It's recognized as the largest youth development program in the world. My last one is just a few examples of some of the many programs that we conduct in 4-H here in the county. I'll tell just a little bit about some of these and then pass it back to Chris. But public speaking, probably one of the best things that we do for the kids, probably one of their least favorite to do, as we all know. But the ones that participate in that truly do gain a lot of those skills that we mentioned earlier, confidence, communication skills. We typically try to start that at the school level with those that have a school club, picking 1 or 2 representatives from their homeroom that are invited to a county contest, which we had in late January. The winners there then progressed to regional. We had some high schoolers go down to the UT Knoxville campus last Saturday and compete as part of the Eastern region, which is 33 counties. And coming up on March 1st, our 4th through 8th grade winners will be going to a multi-county event. We do it as an upper 8, so the 8 most northeast counties. And this year it's going to be at Surgoinsville Middle School down in Hawkins County. Farm Expo, a big community event. Of course, for years held here in Kingsport area at Meadowview, has more recently been in Bristol, there at the Speedway. And 4-H has been a part of it since really about when it started, late 90s. We still are a big part of that, providing animal exhibit, and it also gives us a chance to showcase our 4-H program, market it to families that visit. So we had some of our livestock club families bring animals. We had sheep, a calf, a little horse, chickens. We were able to display some of the 4-H posters and photo contest entries from this school year. So a great activity there. 4-H Congress, one of our best state trips. It's for 9th and 10th grade members. They go to Nashville for about 3 to 4 days and learn about state government. Typically, we can send 2 to 4 kids each year. They kind of vary it based on enrollment. And the 3 young ladies there just went in August. Their trip got postponed a couple of times from all this stuff the last few years. 2 are from Sullivan East, 1 from Westridge. We're getting ready to send another batch next month in March. I'm going with them Monday to Knoxville for their preparation day. And we have 2 young men from here at Dobbins-Bennett and a homeschool young man from West Kingsport. So they will meet with our legislators there in Nashville. They'll go through a mock government session in the House and Senate chamber and get to do a lot of fun stuff like the General Jackson showboat and some things there while they're in town. Summer camp. Summer camp's a big one. Lots of kids love. Great chance to get our younger 4th and 5th grade engaged and come back and do more things as they start back the next school year. We're taking 4th, 5th grade group June 6th through the 10th to the Clyde Austin 4-H Center in Greenville. The middle schoolers will have a week in July. And if you've never been there, it's a great place. Arts, crafts, wildlife, shooting sports, games, a lake with canoeing and fishing. Just a lot of things to get the kids outside, away from the phones and technology for a few days. Meet new people. There'll be 4 other counties camping with us that week, and hopefully let them just have a fun time away from some of these distractions that they all have nowadays. Clover Bowl is a quiz bowl event. Focuses mainly on science and social studies concepts, Tennessee history, agriculture, and 4-H. Think of it kind of like Team Jeopardy. List of 16 questions. They get it right, they earn points. They miss, they lose points. Team with the most points at the end is the winner. They have a chance to advance and go to a contest there on the UT campus in Knoxville. And one of the last ones, I got some pictures of there, some of our animal science projects. We've got kids that exhibit beef cattle, sheep, goats. We do a project called the Chick Chain where they can order baby chicks each year. They typically come late March. They raise them through the summer, bring back 5 of 12 for a show and sale at the fairgrounds in early August. And we have those judged as a pin sale or a pin contest and then sell them off as an auction. Mentioned Ron being on the building. He was our auctioneer last year, and we had a great sale, generates money for the program, and a chance for the kids to get some chickens the next year. So just a very few of the many things going on in 4-H, but lots of stuff to get the kids involved. If you got young people that you know of that would be interested in them, please encourage them to let us know. We'll try to get them involved the best we can.
I wanted to just give a little splash of some of the things that I do. And so I picked something from horticulture and something from livestock. And the horticulture, it's a project that my Master Gardener group volunteers are involved in. It's not far from where we're at right now. It's up near the First Presbyterian Church on Charlemont Street. And there is a large raised bed garden. I think it has 96 raised beds and managed by my Master Gardeners. And they essentially assign these beds for the gardening year to people in the community. And we're kind of proud of this project because it's very close to the inner underrepresented community, close by there to the project. But last year, 1,248 pounds of produce was kind of grew there and either used by the person or donated to some place in town. And that's down. It usually had been like 2,000 pounds, but You know, in 2020 and 2021, it was a little bit down. They also have gardening workshops where they teach people how to garden, you know, when to plant and how to control weeds and when to harvest and what to expect and all those things. And that usually starts up in about April each year. So, the next slide. The other thing that we do a lot of is we work with beef cattle producers. It's been going on since probably 2004 or 5, but there's money in the state budget, and I think that still this year it's around $26 million, which sounds like a lot of money until you spread it across all of Tennessee to beef cattle producers everywhere. But what we do is we help producers in the county be able to qualify to receive those funds. So here on the left is a squeeze chute, and that squeeze chute is probably $13,000 to $15,000. It's hydraulic. Push little levers on there and it opens up and squeezes, and they can do everything almost except maybe not turn the cow upside down, but they can sure control, you know, the 1,400 pound beef cow without problem and prevent any injury to the handler. Now, of course, a lot of our producers, that was just really convenient, it's close to my office, but a lot of our producers would have a squeeze chute that is mechanical and would probably be in the range of $3,000 to $4,000, you know, a lot cheaper. Over on the right-hand side is a handling facility, you know, located out in the field, and what the farmer or the ag producer does is he feeds the cattle in there routinely to where they trust him, and he goes in there and dumps the feed in the troughs, and in come the cattle, and he sneaks around behind them and closes the gate. Then he can manage them. He can give vaccinations or I don't know, whatever, all kinds of different things, or load them for marketing, or often by himself. You know, we're an ag community of, it's hard to find labor, so we're often looking for ways to be able to operate with minimal labor. And these tools here allow our ag producers to do that. 35 years ago, I remember going with Dr. Bill Little, and every time he would go to a farm to work cattle annually, like an annual health session, he would hook up to a squeeze chute and haul it 30, 40, 50 miles, wherever it was, and set it up and work that guy's cattle and then bring it back to their clinic. Well, today they don't have to do that. The average producer, because of the TAEP program, has a squeeze chute because they've been able to get 50% of it paid for through TAEP. And to be able to accomplish and do that, they complete the UT Extension Master Beef Producer Program. They attend 7 educational programs, usually an hour to hour and a half long, over a course of about a year, and then they become eligible to apply for ag enhancement funds and get anywhere from a few hundred to up to probably $6,000 or $7,000 easily, and then depending on the program, there's even dairy producers can even get like $10,000. And then there's agritourism money there as well, and farmers market money, and it's a fairly extensive program. So we work a lot with our beef producers to encourage and qualify them for this program. Next slide there. Just a little bit of impact over the years. TDA, Tennessee Department of Agriculture, sent this information out, and I said, wow, that's really impressive. So projects, hay equipment for 2019-20, there's 28 projects for $124,894 in Sullivan County. Livestock equipment would be like the chute or the squeeze chute, be $52,000 for 29 projects. Genetics would be purchase of bulls or heifers, $7,800, and working facility structure, where you put a roof over that structure that was in the field, $5,800, for a total of $192,000 in 2019-20. Over 14 years since been doing the program, coming to Sullivan County, $2.3 million, 891 projects, with beef producers, dairy producers, all kinds of agriculture producers across the county. It's really an impactful thing that has been done, over the last, soon be 16 to 17, 18 years. Next slide there. Not a great picture, but it's a hay barn that was built with that ag enhancement money. And by putting that hay in that barn, the producer doesn't lose any. The greatest portion of a round bale is in that outer 6 inches, because that's the largest diameter. So when you lose that outer 6 inches, either to rain on the top or rot from sitting on the wet ground, you're losing 30% of the product in that outer 6 inches. By putting it in the barn, the producer saves a lot of money. We was counting the other day, fertilizer this year will be like $800 to $1,000 a ton. I remember last year it was $700 a ton, $600 to $700, so it's went up 40% in this year. So it's important when people are storing those $50 to $70 bales not to lose a third. Next slide. Now this is our Family and Consumer Sciences agent slide, and she was not able to be with us, but she shared this with us to kind of present a little bit, and I will share as much as I can and explain. Walter can throw in if I miss something. But she does a lot of cooking demonstrations. I know this week she was at the Renaissance Center doing a little program on cooking for one. You're one person living, and trying to cook. What you buy, how do you prepare it? She does a lot of heart healthy kind of programs. That can be a challenging thing. One time our FCS agent went to Rocky Springs, I think that's where it was, to a Ruritan meeting. And it was all a bunch of beef cattle producers, and she was in there trying to tell them that they shouldn't be eating much beef. It was not, she learned quickly, and you got to know who you're talking to. But anyway, heart healthy is a big emphasis of programs that we do. Current things she's kind of doing, matter of balance, related to just physical activity, preventing falls and injuries. I know she does a Tai Chi program also, which kind of emphasizes physical well-being. They have one called Power You, which is really a program about healthy food choices for youth. And Coffee and Conversation has been gathering, I think that's mainly in Kingsport, for grandparents at community centers. They have a program called Eat Well, Feel Well, that where they talk about nutrition and good food safety measures, technology training, monthly informational sessions for successfully utilizing various programs including Zoom, Microsoft Office, etc. How many of you all knew what Zoom meant 3 years ago? Now almost everybody knows what Zoom means. We've come a long way in 2 years. Tennessee Housing Development Agency, they have home buyer education through Tennessee Housing Development Agency as well. I think, is there one more slide, or is that the end?
You might point out Lydia's only been here.
Yeah, Lydia has been with us since July 1st, and she works a lot with, especially the tin set part, with Linda Jones, who's actually been with us as a employee since 2015, been a volunteer with our office since around 1999, 2020, 2000, 1999 to 2000, somewhere along in there. And here is Linda's pictures that she has provided. Over here on the left, she was at the farmer's market, giving out information and about her programs back last summer. And we had a open house display there. And then over on the right, she was doing a program for some youth on teaching them how to prepare meals and be self-sufficient. one more, or is that it? That's it. Okay. One last thing. Lydia said, don't forget to mention, we're planning an open house. I think the date is March the 23rd, and it will probably be like from 5:30 in the afternoon or evening until about 7:30 or 8. We'll have some food and information and all, and it'll be at the Ag Center where our office is. Do you have any questions? I mean, so announcements or anything? Okay. We will take any questions you have.